Should we begin? Okay, I think we're ready to begin. Okay. Okay, dear colleagues, fellows, and friends. My name is Carl Middleton, and I'm Director of the Center for Social Development Studies of the Faculty of Political Science, Chulalongkorn University. On behalf of CSDS and the Faculty of Political Science, it is my pleasure to warmly welcome you today to today's public seminar, which is titled Towards Thailand's Green Transformation, Research on Emerging Challenges and Opportunities. Today is an important milestone for the inaugural Just Futures Mekong Fellowship Program. We will listen to, learn from, and debate about a range of topics related to just sustainability that has been researched through the program. The Just Futures Mekong Fellowship Program is a capacity strengthening and research program that supports young individuals to address pressing environmental and social challenges through research, collaboration, and regional dialogue. Over the past 6 months, 5 fellows have worked intensively with their host organizations and a network of other collaborators, including community partners, civil society, and academics, among others, to co-produce research that aligns with the mission of the host organization and the fellow's own interest and experience. In the process of the fellowship, we have sought to encourage a multicultural exchange and try to build a people-to-people regionalism. The program has been undertaken as a partnership between the Center for Social Development Studies and 5 organizations in Thailand, namely the Sustainable Development Foundation, Local Alike, the Sustainable Agriculture Foundation, the Climate Finance Network of Thailand, and Towards Organic Asia. Several mentors have also supported the fellows as they have undertaken their research, including Dr. Chaya Vanaputi and Kinkorn Narintarakun Naayitea. Without the strong support of these organizations and mentors, the fellowship program would not have been possible. I'd also like to thank the advisors to the fellowship program, Tianji Ma and Jin Mei, and also the CSDS team, Orapan, Tiria Nguyen, who have also been instrumental to making the fellowship program happen today. While achieving green transformation is a global challenge, the fellowship program focuses on co-produced research and practical action at a local level. At this public seminar, the key insights of the research projects and their implications for policy and practice will be shared by the fellows, their host organizations, and other collaborators. The topics will cover organic farming and seed sharing, coastal community resource governance and housing rights, community-based tourism, and climate change, including indigenous climate adaptation and climate finance. The Faculty of Political Science and CSDS is very honored to host this public seminar today, and I hope that we will have an engaged discussion on the themes that have emerged towards green transformation practices that are democratized, accountable, inclusive, and locally rooted. So thank you so much for your kind attention. And again, please, let's have a very engaged seminar today. Thank you. So with these brief opening remarks, now we will begin with the substantive sessions of the public seminar. So session 1 is titled Community-Led Transformation on Food and Climate Adaptation. So I'd like to invite the moderator, Kun Naramon Paibonsitikun from TOA, who will be moderating the session. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Nalamon Paibonsitikun, it's an honor to be a moderator for the first session. So before we starting the first session, I would like to invite our 2 presenters, Chao Mong and Yu Ting Jo, to the stage, and also the mentor that we have. We will have Ajahn Chaya online. Yeah. And then I think the technician can help us to to connect with him through the Zoom application. And also, I would like to invite Kun Kingon Narinthalakun on to sit in front of the room. So three of us, three of the presenter and the mentor will talk from here, and then Ajahn Chaya. Chao Mong, please. Yep. You okay? Keep that chair for Vicky. ไม่ได้ต้องพูด It's okay. Yes, yeah. Okay. Thank you. So the first session, the community-led transformation in food and climate adaptation. So we have two presenters, and we would like to start from Shomong. She is a fellowship. Now she's give the title on walking alongside communities. And also we have the community member with us here, so we can share later. Supporting community-led adaptation, resilient beyond climate change in Northern Thailand, highlands. So Shomong, the floor is yours. Can I check a little bit about the pointer? How we do it from here, or it doesn't move? Maybe you can say it and then we can move it forward. Please. Oh, sorry. Maybe I can. Yeah, I think she will present, and then our technician can help changing when she said next slide.
Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for Pimong's and Ajahn Kao's wonderful introduction. I'm Shao Mong, and today I'm going to share an exploratory journey to make sense of climate change and its adaptation. So climate change can be, talking about and making sense of climate change can be overwhelming or even intimidating, because it is something that can invoke some disaster narratives. If you still remember or even personally experienced how Chiang Mai City was badly flooded last year. And also because it's even caused slow onset changes, which you cannot make sense of or articulate on an everyday basis. And in this way, it can be very elusive in terms of political, ecological, and social sense. So, I'm very honored to have the access and support from my partner organization. Can you go next slide? Oh, sorry. My partner organization, please allow me to introduce Sustainable Agriculture Foundation Thailand, which is an NGO dedicated to advancing innovative sustainable agriculture system and advocating for inclusive and sustainable agriculture in Thailand. So within this opportunity, next slide. I get the chance and opportunity to work with an indigenous Karen community in Northern Thailand. Next slide. Oh, sorry, there's a previous slide. Oh, so let me, next one. So let me share something maybe seemingly small, but very significant. Actually, that's how we draft our research proposal as a very first beginning before we enter and work with the indigenous community itself. So the previous title goes by promises, pitfalls, and prospects, indigenous communities' everyday navigation of climate change in rural northern Thailand. Please remember the picture under this working previously title, because you can see this kind of image of forest. You can only get this kind of image from a distance. And maybe even we zoom out, we can get this kind of image of forest from the satellite images, which I'll come back to this point later. Next slide. So why I have changed the previously working title into the working alongside community, supporting community-led adaptation resilience beyond climate change. So actually, if you look at the previous title, here comes a problem closure, which means that if you look at the promises, pitfalls, and prospects in terms of climate change, we take for granted that climate change, this kind of risks, is a first priority of the community itself. But this top-down gaze can be problematic because we cannot assume the community agenda itself just prioritize climate change, this standalone physical risks. So here as an autonomous adaptation and sustainable livelihoods approach kick in to help us understand what can be the first priority for community itself. In other words, we can shift the problematic to a broader focus on how the community itself to maintain its sustainable livelihoods. So in this case, how to secure its farming and other alternative sources of livelihoods. So that's also where we can try to problematize the climate change discourses, because a lot of stakeholders with power can use climate change as with dire consequences to legitimize more control and governance to the originally kind of marginalized indigenous communities. Also, we can try to problematize vulnerability and resilience themselves, because you have to go back to the historical roots of vulnerability itself. And you can also not too romanticize the indigenous community's resilience. So how I try to, with my research partner, to probe the community-led adaptation resilience. I have conducted fieldwork with a caring indigenous community for this half a year. And the interview, most of the semi-structured interviewing was with villagers across gender, class, age, and with different sources of livelihoods. Part of the interview also include interview with sub-district level and district level officials and civil society organizations. And with the help of translation from my research partner and a local villager, and also with some relevant document analysis. Next page. So my conclusion can be very short and direct. So what happened on the ground to the community? What I found is a preliminary and exploratory finding is the community originally already has a resilient community-led critical adaptation resilience, but it is kind of under-supported from the institutional context and also the current policy context. And next slide. But before how can we unpack this kind of adaptation resilience? For me, based on my observation and understanding, I suppose the community spirit is a binding force that can glue or support this adaptive resilience, which can help them to confront a lot of kinds of interconnected risks beyond climate change. But you cannot just take for granted that this community spirit directly equivalents to a kind of romantic, essentialized cultural and rituals. But actually, for me, it's a dynamic system emerging out of shared livelihoods. In this community, it's rice-centered, subsistence-oriented livelihoods, and also the intergenerational transmission it's dynamic. The knowledge and the practices has been transferred from the older generation to the younger generation in different ways, and also the network building. For this, I refer to how the community has been networking with the academia and also the civil society organizations in different ways to support and to develop the community. And also, the community spirit itself is also reciprocal and interdependent ways of being, living, and relating to nature. In this way, we can see this is how can this differentiate it from the state and the top-down centralized gaze to kind of separate nature and human. If you can still remember the image of those forests. So if you look at forest in that way, the forest should be human-free, but actually forest is a living area which the indigenous community has been living with, taken care of, and for many years. And also, but this kind of community spirit is also under risk because it kind of still a lot of risks from the external side, including the market, the unstable market rising out of the different imported or crop-related policies from the state, and also the kind of risks from the different environmental regulation policies, such as the zero burning policy this year. So combining all these kind of external pressures, the community itself and tries to secure its livelihoods, but still they maybe grow more cash crops. And also the younger generation may try to move out to secure more livelihood opportunities. In this case, if a lot of people, younger generation, they are not staying in the community, this community spirit can be risky if we look at in the longer term. Next page. So here we goes into for me, is one of the crucial part of my project. So how the indigenous community, they cultivate their land into homeland. So first, I think the first layer refers to the secured land title itself. You can see there is a mixed assemblage of different kind of land titles. For the first, with the 20% mark, this one, it's secured land deeds. But actually in this community, only less than 20% of people have this kind of access to land. Most of people, they only enjoy the provisional kind of temporary land use registration books, but these books cannot secure their livelihoods because with this book, they cannot diversify their livelihoods. For example, they can only cultivate rice. If when this kind of book is published, they cannot convert this land into like ecotourism homestay or other kinds of livelihoods opportunities. And also there are another series of land titles on the way. For example, the Kotocho, the community land titling system, originally sets out to give the community land title to the community. But actually on the ground, a lot of communities, they have been imposed a lot of limits and restrictions because this land titling system gives very strict registration use. Like this part of land, you can only grow certain kind of crops, but this usage are regulated still from the gaze outside the community, but not the community itself. Within a lot of barriers and limitations, the community itself actually still practice their community-led natural resource management. And these management practices are supported by plural knowledge system, not only the indigenous knowledge itself, but also combined with other kinds of knowledge that have been adopted and learned from the outside. For example, every year they will practice the fire breaks, practice their fuel management, and also they have spiritual way to connect the trees to the well-being of community members. In this way, they have plural ways to live with the nature in a sustainable way, even though that is not recognized by a lot of stakeholders outside the community. Next slide. Next page. This is a picture of the community. They are practicing the annual fire breaks. Next page. This is a picture the community tries to use counter mapping to display how they manage and use their land. Next page. So if we zoom into farming, the farming is under precarity, and we have to consider the weather. They are farming under changing weather, and also the water governance of the community is under stress. But actually the community itself is kind of relatively water rich. So you can see, despite the community tries to secure their livelihoods, there are a lot of limits. For example, they don't have enough budget from sub-district level governments to kind of maintain their water infrastructure, but also they are excluded from some water-related knowledge management systems. But still, the community tries to come up with a lot of adaptive responses. They can be physical, social, and institutional. Next page. So if we talk about climate change, just like I introduced in the very beginning, it can also refers to the abrupt physical changes. But this also carries risks to the community on the ground. So it can include early warning system. Despite this has been installed for more than 10 years in this community, actually is kind of underused and underpowered because the community, they are not provided with enough knowledge, budget to maintain this kind of structure. More importantly, the ultimate control of this kind of early warning system is not in the community hands, but in the sub-district level governments, which means people who cannot give the first emergent response to the community when they have risks, not only maybe there can be forest fire or flooding. Also, when it comes to damage and loss, a lot of community members have been excluded outside supposedly already in place relief systems, because a lot of this kind of policy, they require secure land titling, secure land titles, and also they requires a lot of paperwork, which a lot of community members, they have been excluded. Next page. So based on all the observation and findings, I gave 5 recommendations. So first is try to establish comprehensive land titling system, which has to consider how the community on the ground use and manage their natural resources, and including land themselves. And also decentralize early warning systems and expand compensation mechanism. Also institute cross-sectoral coordination mechanisms for community-led adaptation. If we cannot have Royal Forest Department and a lot of departments involved with community rights as a district or sub-district level, it's very hard to reach meaningful negotiation with the community. And revise environmental and forest policies to recognize indigenous livelihood practices and knowledge systems. Also support community cohesion rather than replace or educate, and collective decision-making capacity through multi-stakeholder collaboration. Next page. So this is just a very preliminary exploration of how to kind of support the community decision-making capacities. I have adapted a livelihood challenging role-playing games. So basically the villagers, they try to draw an identity card. So in this case, they can stand in other people's shoes to try to feel how people inside the same community have different access to resources, including land and different kinds of assets. And also, so basically they tries to use the resources at their hand to kind of come up with different growing strategies in different year. And for example, this year is a very dry year. So they first they try to make individual strategy planning. Instead, they cannot have opportunities to discuss together. in this way, they might exceed the water limits because, water is a common resource, just like I mentioned. And they try during this gaming process, they try to cultivate the decision-making and confronting intersecting risks, because also every player needs to draw a chance card, which actually is contextualized from the different kinds of risks the community is facing by. And also, the most important, it tries to foster the community, tries to sit down to discuss what kind of risks and challenges we have been confronting together. Because you can see when different players, they try to play this game in the same map, they can easily see how others this year in this village grow how much they grow. And once they have risks of exceeding water limits, they can try to negotiate with each other. For example, try to regulate the rich household, try to grow less this year, for example. But so from the discussion, I think some people, they have shared with me, they have learned how to negotiate with different villagers because they can know what the other people might grow in this year in advance. But still, when I talked with one of my key research participant in this village, we have to point out that still this game world doesn't equal to the life world, especially when you consider how you should be sensitive and recognize the indigenous ways of life and their livelihoods. Because you can see in this game, we can only calculate the figures, I mean the money, as a proxy of risks. But in reality, the sense of I'm under risk, I feel risk, or I feel insecurity for my family, it actually can be a very effective and a lot of elements going on, and you cannot just try to reduce this to money itself. So in the longer term, I think in the future, if possible, more stakeholders can be invited to play this game. For example, people who involved in the community rights or tries to set policies, they can try to stand in the villagers' shoes to try to feel in an embodied way what kinds of risks the villagers are confronting on an everyday basis. Next page. Okay, so that's just part of my exploratory journey into making sense of climate change and its adaptation by working with an indigenous Karen community. And I would like to thank all the participants today, and a special thanks goes to all the people who make this fellowship program possible, and those people I have benefited in different ways from conversation, workshop, advocacy work. Most importantly, I would like to appreciate my research partner, my interviewing assistants, and every villager, and everyone who has welcomed us into their farms, homes, and workplaces, sharing their stories, their feelings, and the possible documents and the wisdom that enrich this work in one way or another. And that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Xiao Mong. I can feel, I'm really moved hearing your presentation. I think as the climate is one of the sustainable development goals, no, it's a common issue for us. And climate adaptation is what we try to looking for. But your finding is telling that there's a practice in the community level, but need to be improved, need to support, and needs system change in order to achieve the sustainability together. So we have the second presenters. Before we have the commentary and open for the floor, now I would like to invite Yu Ting Cho to present her finding and her learning on the topic of from trust to recognition, strengthening a participatory and community grounded system in Thailand. So Yu Ting, the floor is yours now.
Thank you, Pimol. Okay. Good morning, everyone. สวัสดีค่ะทุกคนค่ะ My name is Xu Ting. It's very honor for me to present findings and from my research and policy brief titled that From Trust to Recognition, Strengthening Participatory and Community Grounded System in Thailand. This research is this work was hosted and supported by towards organic Asian, and also like based on our 6 months research across Thailand. Next page, please. Okay, so let me begin not with a series, but with some voices from the field and the moment that stay with me. Okay, PBL from Ben Somsen said that for the issue of seeds, we must talk about who we are, in identity, dignity, and independence. For me, from Make Home Nomade Organic Farm shared with us that the world's getting hotter and hotter every year. Seeds are also, the words get hotter and hotter every year, and seeds need to adapt it themselves to the climate change. And then P. Zhong Dai from Pan Pan Organic Farm, who's also the first interview we had, said that seeds as commons, resource to be shared, not owned. Harvest is not just about profit, it is about friendship, sharing, and co-creation. And Jordan Nai, a young farmer from Pangan Organic Farm in Ubon Ratchathani, in Sirim province, sorry, reflect that maybe what I did is not just it's just to prepare the choices for the other people will come back to the hometown in the future. So all these words are not like just poetry. This is very political. This research, please next slides. This research began with a very simple but powerful question. How can farmers sustain their own seed system in the face of growing pressures? As we travel across Thailand from northern to south, it became clear that struggles for seeds is not just about farming, it's about knowledge, recognitions, and rights. So for the question why seeds matters, we will see that seeds sustains biodiversity, resilience, and autonomy of the farmers, which is a fundamental of just and sustainable food system. And then seeds carry memories and cultural identities, linking people, land, and generations. Meanwhile, seeds empower farmers who must have sustainable livelihood on their own terms and resilience dependence. Next page, please. So based on that like background, I will start like our founders. I would to brief introduce towards organization introduce towards Organic Asia, my host organization first. TOA founded in 2011, which is an inspiring network promoting agroecology, organic farming, and food sovereignty across Asia. Their work focused on 4 pillars: training, technology, advocacy, and use. Next page, please. So to have a better understand, can you share? Yeah, thank you. To understand the Thailand seed system, we conduct quantitative research within the 6 months. Which includes 25 field trip and interview across 13 provinces across 4 regions in Thailand, the north, northeast, east, and south. We visit farms, seed banks, markets, organic markets, and also some learning centers. Meanwhile, we conduct 8 online and in-person interviews, engaging farmers, the youth, NGO and CSO leaders, academics, and also some local officers. And we also hold a participatory workshop at Sanam Chai Kie Organic Agriculture Group in Chachomsao province with expertise farmers and also the youth. All these conversations and observations reveals both challenges and quiet innovators taking place at the very grassroots levels. Next page, please. So through this research, several key challenges surfaced, and it recurs across regions and voices from different stakeholders again and again, which help to explain why farmers' lead systems remain undervalued and undersupported. Firstly, corporate consolidation and intellectual practice. So as a policy brief explained, many corporations have acquired extensive seed portfolio through the mergers and intellectual property control and the rigid law. Standardized hybrid and the GMCs displaying the local adopted varieties, and it eroding the biodiversity and also marginalize the farmer lead and the community lead seed practice. And secondly, legal barriers that favor industry and uniform seed models. Some seed laws, for example, Thailand Plant Variety Protection Act, was designed around the very rigid standards of uniform and stability, and that all these criteria was systematically excluded diverse farmer-lead varieties. And also the satisfaction and the register process are very expensive, time consuming, and technically complex, and make it almost impossible for the smallholder farmers, and also their own seed practice. And thirdly, infrastructure and funding gap. Many farmers, they lack basic facilities, for example, storage, drying and testing equipment for the seeds. Even though some community seed production requires standard technical support, affordable tools, and reliable market, which like currently insufficient. And also the fund the many farmers explain to us that the funds are very not inconsistent and are not stable. And finally, there are also the challenges of aging farming population and engaging youth. Many young farmers leave for cities because farming work is regarded as poorly paid. While those who do return often lack of mentoring opportunities and enough support. So all these structure barriers make it difficult for the farmers, especially for the young farmers, to sustain their seed work. Even many of them are already motivated by to try to engaging in seed system. So together, all these challenges reveal like both how current policy and institution continue to marginalize the farmers' expertise and reinforce dependence on the corporate system. So the reform is very urgent. Next page, please. At the heart of this research, and also at the heart of Thailand's seed future, we propose that participatory and grounded seed system. This seed system offer a democratic and ecological alternative to the current seed models. They are rooted in trust, cultural identity, and the local ecologies. And in this system, farmers are not just passive reception of the outsiders, but active innovators and stewards. They selecting, sieving, and sharing seeds that fit for their need and fit for the environment. So like one powerful example of the proposed seed system is PGS, Participatory Guarantee Seed System, which originally developed within the Thailand's organic movement. PGS bring together farmers, consumers, and other stakeholders to collectively define and verify the standards. So it demonstrated the trust-based, social-rooted system makes sense in the community level and also in the social level. Next page, please. So for core principles emerging as backbones of the participatory and community grounded system. First, trust built through relationships, care, and shared responsibility. And second, participatory, engaging farmer not just adopted, but as a co-creators of seeds, knowledge, and standards. Thirdly, local situatedness, grounded practice in the specific ecological and tradition and needs. And finally, flexible legitimacy. Recognize legitimacy doesn't always come from the formal proof, but from the community recognition, peer review, and lively experience. And all these principles are not more than a vision, they're lively realities through our field trip. Next page, please. So we will demonstrate 4 cases. Next page, please. 4 cases through our field trip. Ban Song San has become a hub of agroecologic knowledge and OPC exchange that extend beyond the village, inspiring others across region. And Ban Song San, trust is cultivated not through the seed saving, but also through the relations. They exchange seeds, stories, and cares. Seed sharing here is rooted in the moral values more than the certification or market logic. Next page, please. And in Nan Province, Hamong Nan Foundation and the Jogo Learning Center foster participatory by empowering farmers to take lead in selecting and breeding and even naming their own varieties. This community rice variety, Nanha Gao, which is in the picture, is lively example of these co-creations. Next page, please. And in Sanam Chaike, the seed practice are also tied to the logic agroecology. Farmers prefer varieties that fit their soil, the seasons, and also their cultures, such as the long beans, like demonstrated the deep connection between the seed, the place, and the farmers. Next page, please. And in the Saina 1 in Galasian province shows that how community can define their own standards. Between 2006 to 2030, this community registered 200 local varieties seed, and all they use the local knowledge and peer-to-peer evaluation to get the seeds to maintain the seed qualities, and also through the collective trust and the practice. Next page, please. So yet this innovative practice remain undervalued and unsupported. Policy and the legal framework continue to favor industry models that exclude farmer knowledge and diversity. So from trust to recognized means that creating systems that support farmers' expertise and also stressing the inclusion, the diversity, resilience, and seed sovereignty in Thailand's food culture. Next page, please. So to achieve this policy brief outline recommendations at 3 levels. In short term, we need to support farmer-to-farmer learning, mentor use, document legal practice, and improve advices service at the sub-district level. In medium term, it advocate to establish the decentralized seed hubs, creating innovation funds and strengthening the network. And in the long term, it support the formally recognized community validation mechanism, decentralized seed register and selling process, and build a national plan for the grassroots advocacy and governance. Next page, please. Alternatively, the vision is to treat seeds not as commodities, but a shared heritage, one that nourish people, culture, and the ecosystem. By blending the scientific innovations and also the traditional knowledge, Thailand can build a seed system that is resilient, democratic, and cultural grounded. As one farmer we interviewed, Bomi, he said, one youth farmer in Ubon Ratchathani said, use themselves are the seeds. Thank you. Next page, please. Okay, before closing, I want to express my deepest thanks. This research is a result of so many generous people. Firstly, to all the communities and farmers, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your time. To TOA team, Pimon, Sam, and Muying, thank you so much for working together with me on all the way. And to my mentor, King Kong, and also Pipe, who's not here, but I believe like she's been together with me, to Ajam Chongchu. Thank you so much for your knowledge, for your humility, and like get me through all this way. And to everyone who helped organize each visit, translate, and the conversation, or cook every meal. You shape all this research. And thank you so much for your attention. I will close my presentation with a paragraph of Thai. I try to speak to every community, start our interview. สวัสดีค่ะทุกคนค่ะชื่อยุทิงค่ะเป็นนักวิจัยมาจุฬาลงกรณ์มหาวิทยาลัยโครงการของฉันโครงการวิจัยของฉันเกี่ยวกับเกษตรยั่งยืนกิจกรรมผลิตภัณฑ์และคนรุ่นใหม่ค่ะยินดีที่ได้รู้จักค่ะ
Thank you. I'm happy for your meaningful learning journey with us all. So now, after two presenters, I think it's time for participants. But first, I would like to give the time for Dr. Chaya Watanaputi. I believe that he is now with us via the Zoom application. Ajahn Chaya is the chair of the program in geography from Chiang Mai University. He is the mentor for Chao Mong. He is supporting and giving the time and tools for her study. Ajahn Ka, please give your comment to Chao Mong Ka.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
ได้ยินค่ะ
Okay, ครับขอบคุณครับ Thank you very much, both Chamong and Yuting. I really enjoyed your presentations. Very deep critical analysis of in both of your cases. I'd like to say in general that in both presentations, you shared a lot of good common grounds, and I could say into two topics. The first one is about risk, and we can see quite clearly that if we started asking about climate change, this is something for many people inside or outside of the village. This is something unfamiliar with, because many times we see climate change as an external risk, seen from climate models, seen from graphs or pie charts, or something that can be solved by neoliberal conservation, for example, by paying people to protect the forest or punishing people, fine them for thousands of baht. But Chamong's presentation and her 6-month research in Chiang Mai has shown that a risk is internalized into people's livelihoods, mostly expressed in terms of land access, water access, and most importantly, everything revolves around food security. And this is very, very crucial because as Shamong explained in the beginning, seeing the forest through satellites means almost nothing for the villagers because the forest is not seen from top down. Forest for them is seen as part of land, part of the river, part of the mountains and valleys and so on. And everything is connected and embodied. So risk is something that to be taken at the deepest emotional level in terms of fear, in terms of frustration, in terms of being neglected or being marginalized at institutional level and at emotional level. This is something that is quite clear in both the presentations. And the two presenters also ask big questions about how do we involve the villages, whether they are farmers or whether they are just villages. How do we involve them in decision-making process? As Yutin mentioned earlier, farmers are not just farmers. They are innovators, seed innovators. They think all the time about how they stabilize their food security or how they improve the seeds for the next year and for the next generation. And this get me to ask, about what can they be more in terms of becoming included in decision-making process. And I'd like to just respond with a short story that I'd heard perhaps about 15 years ago. So there was somewhere near Surin province, I think, a long time ago, there was a group of scientists went there and installed the weather stations because they lacked the weather forecast and they didn't know when is the best time to plant their rice. So a weather station was installed. And then group of scientists went there regularly to inspect the weather data recorded every day, right? And then send all the figures to Bangkok to be modeled and then to be forecast for the next days. And then soon the farmers got frustrated because they never know what these weather stations were for. They had no participation about it. And soon the project started to train the farmers to read the weather forecast maps, to read all the numbers, to read all the signs, so that they know what kind of data would be useful for their rice planting, rice crops. But I also asked the project coordinator about this program, that why don't we also include local knowledge of the villages? How about when they look at the ants, the behavior of ants or frogs or the wind patterns, they said, oh, they didn't have budget for it. And this, I think, is something quite important when we talk about co-production of knowledge, right? Yes, you can always talk about knowledge co-production, but co-production to whose authority? In this case, it's always the farmers having to learn the scientific knowledge, but not the other way around. So in Yuting's presentation, for villages to be able to have their own system in regulating the seed, in sharing and establishing network with different groups, that is amazing. But how far and how many villages can be done in the same way, right? That is quite a challenge. And same for Chamong's case. How can we include traditional knowledge in, let's say, the school curriculum, or in the weather station that is installed in the village, so that we have both systems, the scientific knowledge and also the a guideline or a booklet of a local knowledge sitting together, so that both types of knowledge can be used together in let's say forecasting the weather risk. And so this asks a bigger question about the school system. Let's say in your village, can we have both? I mean, learn both science at school, but also traditional knowledge at school level too. Also, at the sub-district level, yes, we could have villages learning the paperwork or learning all these scientific terms and submit documents to ask for budgets, right? At the same time, could we ask the local authority to integrate it, or to learn their people's local knowledge, into help them submitting the budget, or running a project that enables thorough knowledge system in seed management, in rice cultivation, or climate change managed adaptation, for example. Or even in a bigger picture, if we talk about the forest authorities, forest science at university level, can we have the plural knowledge too, or not, that accepts indigenous worldview, indigenous belief system? I think these questions is challenging too, because we are asking from almost very little corner, right? That the mainstream science and also the institution are going at sometimes opposite direction. But I think what has been done here and what can we see from the both presenters? I think we are seeing some positive progress, and at least these small network need to keep going, and I think there are the good seeds for the future knowledge co-production of knowledge. Yeah, so I'd like to see both presenters respond, how far we could have co-production of knowledge at maybe local authority level, and also amongst your own network of your villages. Thank you.
Point of the two presenter. As you mentioned about the community, and here we have community member also. I understood that Chao Mong spend a lot of time in the community. And probably next one, Sivakorn or Dochang, if you have some comments or some sharing with the presenter, please.
ครับก็ขออนุญาตเลยแล้วกันนะครับก็ก่อนอื่นก็ขอพูดเป็นภาษาไทยเนาะจะถนัดกว่ามีคนแปลให้ไหมหรือว่า
Yes, good. So, Sivakorn, you speak in Thai, and then one of the translator will do consecutive translation. Yes, Sivakorn, you can speak in Thai, and then you can have support for the translator.
ก็คงจะพูดถึงก็ก็ก็ชื่นชมยินดีกับนักศึกษานะครับที่ลงมาอยู่ในชุมชน แล้วก็มีความพยายามอยู่ในเรียนรู้อยู่ในสภาวะที่ผมคิดว่าก็ต้องปรับตัวคือเวลานักศึกษามาเรียนรู้เรื่องการปรับตัวของชุมชนใช่ไหมครับในขณะเดียวกันผู้เรียนรู้เองก็ต้องพยายามปรับตัวที่จะอยู่กับชุมชนให้ได้เหมือนกันครับ
ก่อนอื่น as first I would like to applaud the effort of the fellows to come and study and take times to learn about our adaptations in terms of
ก็จริงผมก็อาจจะมองในเชิงที่ว่าประสบการณ์การเรียนรู้กับชุมชนเนี่ยถ้าเรามองย้อนกลับไปนะครับอันนี้ในทางที่ผมคิดว่าในทางบวกนะครับก็คือวิถีชุมชนแบบเดิมเนี่ยมันจะมีความยืดหยุ่นหรือว่ามันจะมีชุดความคิดหนึ่งที่สำคัญก็คือว่าเขามีความคิดว่าจะอยู่กับความไม่แน่นอนเนี่ยเป็นเรื่องปกติ
one of the main ways of community tradition is to be resilient and to learn to live with inconsistency and unpredictability
เพราะนั้นชุมชนก็จะเรียนรู้จากการสังเกตการอยู่กับธรรมชาติที่ไม่ว่าเราจะพูดถึงดินน้ำลมไฟในทุกๆขณะในทุกๆชั่วโมงในทุกๆเวลาทุกๆวันแล้วเขาก็จะเห็นว่าเขาก็จะมีชุดความคิดหนึ่งตั้งแต่ประวัติศาสตร์ที่ผ่านมาเนี่ยมันไม่มีอะไรที่มันแน่นอนเพราะนั้นเขาจะมีชุดหนึ่งที่มันสำคัญมากไม่ว่าจะเจอเรื่องอะไรเนี่ยเขาก็จะมีความชุดว่าเขาจะต้องเจออย่างเงี้ยมันเป็นเรื่องปกติครับ
So one of the things that the communities led learning is that they learn from observation and living with natures in all instances. And from the past, from like all their experience, nothing is consistent to some degree. So no matter what happened, there is a way to adapt and change.
แต่โดยเงื่อนไขที่ผมคิดว่าในอดีตเนี่ยผมคิดว่าการใช้วิถีชีวิตแบบภูมิปัญญาก็คือมันจะไม่มีอำนาจเข้ามาจำกัดแบบที่เห็นอยู่ในปัจจุบันมาก เช่นว่าการอยู่ในพื้นที่การใช้ที่ดินการทำวิถีแบบการผลิตแบบไร่หมุนเวียนหรือว่าแบบเดิมเนี่ยเราจะมีวิธีในการเลือกพื้นที่ในการหมุนหรือว่าในการเลือกเมล็ดพันธุ์อะไรต่างๆเนี่ยมันจะไม่มีการจำกัดขอบเขตเท่ากับปัจจุบันนะครับ
So in the past, there is not so much restriction from other sectors, whether it's from policy or stuff like that. So practices like crop rotation, seed selection, and seed storation is entirely dependent on the community-driven initiatives.
แต่วันหนึ่งพอมันมีการใช้อำนาจนะครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นการกล่าวหาว่าทำลายทรัพยากรเป็นสาเหตุของความไม่มั่นคงต่างๆเนี่ยมันก็เลยถูกนโยบายชุดหนึ่งที่พูดถึงการพัฒนาบนพื้นที่สูงเนี่ยเข้ามาจำกัดเกือบจะทุกอย่างเช่นการเข้าถึงที่ดินน้ำและก็โดยเฉพาะอย่างการใช้ความรู้เพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยจากเดิมที่มันปกติมันกลายเป็นเรื่องที่ต้องถูกจำกัดให้มันแคบลงอยู่ในพื้นที่ที่จำกัดครับผม
when power comes into play, there starts to be some accusation on the damage that is done by local community practice, things like crop rotation or field rotation. These type of restriction, policy restriction leads to limitation on land and water access and the use and ultimately lead to the restriction on the use of local knowledge.
ซึ่งแรงกดดัน อันนี้นะครับมันทำให้อีกรุ่นหนึ่งเนี่ยเขาจะโตมาในชุดความคิดอีกชุดหนึ่งก็คือว่าเฮ้ยฉันจากเดิมก็คือเขาไม่ได้มีขอบเขตมากมายแต่ว่าจากอีกรุ่นหนึ่งเนี่ยเขาจะอยู่ในชุดความคิดที่มันแคบทั้งในทางกายภาพและในทางความคิดนะครับ เพราะนั้นเวลาเราพูดถึงการปรับตัวของอีกรุ่นหนึ่งเนี่ยเขาจะอยู่ในการปรับตัวที่อยู่ภายใต้ข้อจำกัดและเงื่อนไข ที่มันถูกสร้างมาอีกแบบหนึ่งก็เลยทำให้การปรับตัวในแต่ละยุคเนี่ยมันก็เห็นว่ามันมีความแตกต่างกันครับผม
The new generation of youth and farmer grows up with these type of restriction as compared to people in the past, both in the physical sense from policy decision and also in their mindset. So this lead to them being less adaptive in this situation, which is a stark difference from the practices in the past.
ซึ่งก็เห็นด้วยกับอาจารย์นะครับ เพราะว่ามันจะทำยังไงให้ความรู้ชุดเนี้ยมันถูกส่งต่อ แล้วก็มันทำให้เรื่องของการที่ว่าเดี๋ยวคือมันอาจจะกลายเป็นว่าวันหนึ่งเนี่ยเรากำลังพูดถึงความรู้ความยืดหยุ่นในการปรับตัวในสถานการณ์ที่ความรู้ชุดนั้นนะมันกำลังจะหายไปอะไรอย่างเงี้ยครับ
So he agrees with Ajahn Chaya on one of the main challenges now that they're facing, the community is facing, is how to pass on this type of traditional knowledge in a time that it's diminishing or disappearing.
ครับขอบคุณครับ
Thank you, Sivakorn, very much. So now I would like to move to another person, Kun Kingkorn Narinthrakul. She is the mentor of your team, and she is the former director assistant of BioThai, but currently she is a director of Food for Change. So, Kun Kingkorn, please share your thought.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's honor to be here. How could I start? I have 5 minutes left, right? So, okay. I think I need to congratulation for all people involved in this fellowships program, particular 5 of the fellows and also CSDS. I think it's quite amazing that people listen to presenter that what they has done at the very least to manage the great amount of information within very short time and come up with this presentation and learning, a big learning for them. And I hope that through this fellowships program, we can, it's a kind of starting point that people could learn and how to say, adapt their thinking throughout learning process of 6 months. We can see, I think one thing that I can see in common among both of them is that they change the idea of study through their learning process with the community, with the field visit, with everyone that they meet along the way. So come up with I think maybe the agenda of the research starting from the host organization. Okay? Because we, for example, as a TOA advisor and the TOA team, we come up with the issues of study that we want to know how seeds play. Seed as the important seeds is at the heart of the agricultural system and food system. When we think of sustainable food system, seed is the main issue. And how could we maintain the diversity of seeds? How could we promote the roles of farmers? And how could we involve young generations into this activity? So this is the issue. This is the agenda. And within the very short time and the big amount of information that they come up with this, I think this is impressive. So but still, I think on the seed issue, I would like to discuss a little bit. This issue is really complicated. You could talk about the corporate controls over seed system via a lot of international treaties and how it's impact into legal system in each country, particularly in Thailand, and also TOA also focus on different countries in the region, and how farmers perceive this and how they deal with this situation, and also what is the existing seed system in Thailand, in particular country, how the farmer seed management is look like, and also when thinking of commodification on seeds. So we're thinking, our focus in this issue is also how could young farmer take part in this seed development. Like young farmers has a lot of skill and interest in doing business. So maybe they are good person who leverage the seeds exchange in a way that they can sell and then they can earn. And people might argue, seed is commons, seed is cultural heritage, as mentioned a lot in Yuting, maybe a little bit romanticized, I would argue. But how could farmers buy seed all the time, and when they sell seed, it's become a problem? So this is all the issues that's involved, and also the expectation from the farmers that we visited. So this is very complicated issue, but I think from the paper, from learning, I think we can see very clear that there's a lot of big gap between the seed legal management of seed governance, let's say, focus on seed governance. And if we want to have farmer own their seeds and also take part in seed development and also earn or have the market share, let's say, do the seed marketing, what form of governance should be? So this is still a big question, and also from this paper, it's helped in a way that maybe start a discussion of looking at really what the form of governance that we really have to develop together in this country and also in another country also. And I think still the argument about the seed commodification remain. I think this is very important issue. So to come up with what form of seed governance, how flexible it could be. So this argument, this debate on seed as commodities, seed as commons, seed as cultural heritage, seed as human dignity, it needs to be also get into picture to discuss. And another one issue, I think I share the comments with Ajahn Chaya. That is the issue of scientific knowledge versus local knowledge. In seed, so in climate issue, farmers internalize climate change, climate turbulence, and it's on the daily life basis. And they explain and they perceive and then they explain. Also, it can be considered as scientific knowledge. The same as seed issue, when the legal system where they like to call it formal system, and they like to call farmer seed system as informal system. which is we oppose that. We disagree to that. It's farmer seed system, and it also a form of formal system that need to be how to say to be recognized along with a big corporate seed system. We make it clear, big corporate seed system and farmer system, not formal and informal. And that's also the knowledge base on that on both systems. Farmer has their own standard. I think they can share common standard. It's got to be good quality, but ecosystem fit, not to fit in everywhere in the country. So it starts to get the difference between the knowledge, the both knowledge. So and one thing is that the local knowledge also can be explained and described as the scientific knowledge when farmers describe how it fit to the ecosystem, how it change. We can say mutate. The mutation is also the new breeding if you manage well. So this is a lot of issue to discuss when we're thinking of I can use Yuting's term, the flexible legitimacy or seed governance. So I would leave so many things to be discussed, and I think from this paper and also from many discussion along the way, the network would take this into consideration, and we start to discuss and we will start to. No, it's been discussed all the time already, but I think it's the time that we need to look at proper seriously on the form of governance that could counter the corporate control form governance that we are keep fighting against it. So I think the discussion will be continued. Thank you.
Thank you, Kun King very much. I checked the time is 3 minutes late. I'm sorry for that, but a few more minutes. So then any question or any comment from other participants, because this is co-learning, right? I think it would be very useful and very meaningful to have your participant suggestion and comments participation as well. So anyone in the room would like to, please, maybe you can share a little bit about name and yourself, and then.
Down, but yes, thank you very much for the presentation today. Very interesting. My name is Flores, and I'm a PhD student from Florida International University in Miami. I'm studying with Dr. Jong Mewasin about the construction of the high-speed railway train connecting 3 airports and the resettlement of the railway communities at Makassar. I have a question. In 2019, I was at Navdanya biodiversity farm in Dehradun, India, that was set up by Vandana Shiva, and she's been fighting for seed preservation and biodiversity in India for decades already. So I was wondering about maybe transnational cooperation or solidarity. Is there any form between Thailand, India, or any other countries? Thank you.
We kept, I think they will respond at the same time. Anyone else would like to ask questions? Okay, maybe one question, then the response from Yuting. And if
Yes, the cooperation is, yeah. It's a big cooperation actually. So I think as the civil society network, we've been working and learning from each other. I think 20 years ago, we have a big caravan walking, not really walking, like caravan in how to say, for platform terms, like We have organized a meeting in different places all over the region, discussing seeds exchange and the impact from monopolizing seeds through UPOF, the treaty on the plant protection and plant breedings protection treaty. So the cooperation internationally, regionally has been going on, and I think we still have that link. But given that since COVID, no one traveling a lot, so we still maintain the relationship online actually. And we alert each other when things happening. Then each country could also manage themselves in order to deal with the change in legal system or in through the free trade agreement, and try to change the legal system in each country in order to promote more access for big company.
Thank you. The time is short. I'm so sorry for that. So I go back to the presenter to give the last response for this. You can include the answer to the question as well. We start with Yu Ting and then Chao Mong.
Thank you so much for everyone's intention, and also for Ajahn Chaya and P. King Kong, and also Pimo. In response to Ajahn Chaya's comments, I like highly totally agree with like co-produced knowledge process. So I would say like besides this policy brief, because it's just like very short summarize of our research, 6 months research and countless interviews. So TOA and I will also work on the report about like our research, which will include more about the co-produced knowledge, grassroots innovation, and especially the young generation's development. So, and also, as Ajahn Chaya said, to develop more inclusive future. This is about like the imaginary seed future and also food system in Thailand. And like for myself, and as Ajahn Chaya and P. King Kong said that, I really impressed by all the interviews and all the encounters during the field and also the fields. So I remember very clearly the first day, the first workshop I hosted by Ajahn Kao. He introduced the Taiwan research. I read a lot about that throughout my research and also the writing process. I would say all the cases, all the encounters in the field very inspired both my research and myself. So we just present here 4 cases, but a lot of like emerging cases it's already happened. So as I would say that in Nam province, as Ajahn Chaya very familiar with that. So there's also already a case that the community collaborate with academia and also the formal government officers. They collaborate to develop the seed system and the new varieties, but it's just leak of the, let's say, formal or like recognition. So my research, just as P. King Kong said, is very complicated system, but I would say it is a starting point to talk about this, to find an alternative like to for the farmer system. And like finally, I would say, yes, this is just a starting point. And again, like for myself, I started this research with a lot of uncertainties and also not much confident, but throughout the process, I get a lot of inspiration from my host organization, my mentor, and especially from the community and farmers. I would say like this is just a starting point. And also, I'm so sorry, I forget CSDS, Ajahn Kao also support a lot. Without all of you, it could not happen. So like, I'm very happy this research is kind of the starting point of my PhD process. So like again, like with beside this policy brief, there will be like a report and also a lot of discussion continue that. So yeah, thank you so much.
Maybe I just share a quick response. I quite agree. Thanks for everyone's wonderful comments and feedback and reflection. So maybe I just continue with Ajahn Chaya said. We are asking from a small corner, and how do we rethink and reflect about knowledge? So let me share some blind optimism. Let's start even smaller. So we can question what constitutes knowledge. For me, actually, what I have learned from the community and especially also where the community has led me to, I start to relearn what is a forest. Because for me in the past, forest also evokes some image of gravity, and actually it needs to be managed, the field management, and also it has a lot of danger and risks because for the indigenous community, it is a place you live with, and you have to manage the preservation, life, and the protection. They cannot be separated. Also, the fire. What comes to your mind when you talking about fire? Maybe it's untamed, it's wild, it's dangerous, but actually the indigenous community also use it as to secure their sustainable livelihoods. They have practiced controlled burning for a lot of years. For example, the current traditional sustainable rotational farming. So if we can be a little bit optimistic, we can start to reflect upon every concept, every term we have encountered, and start from there. I suppose maybe to integrate this into school education curriculums cannot be so far, or even we can question how can we redesign the school itself. And that's something from me. Thank you.
So I think it's time. Thank you for all presenters and commented, also everyone who participated in the first session. Thank you. I'm sorry for the time. And then I would like to give the floor to the next session, the second two, and we'd like to invite Yu Yin, the coordinator of this program, to moderate the next session, please.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to call all my presenters and also the moderators on the stage. Our next session will be talking about the Chinese in-way investments, how it contributes to the Thailand's green transformation. I would like to call Kun Salini on the stage, and also Jingmei Liu on the stage, and also Kun Samnak. So before, I will let Ye to introduce her talk and also her research, and afterwards I will introduce our moderators. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm waiting for my slides to show up. So, okay. So hello, everyone. My name is Ye Yuan. I'm a research fellow co-hosted by CSDS and Climate Finance Network Thailand. So Mong and Yuting just shared about the people's lived experience under climate change. And my research topic is, well, from another perspective, quite technical and big picture per se. So which is about the electric vehicles. If you have been paying close attention, you will probably see a lot of advertisements from companies like BYD showing up in convenience stores like 7-Eleven a lot recently in Thailand. So I've been wondering about this. Okay. So I've been wondering about this since I moved to Bangkok with this fellowship earlier this year. That's why I wanted to focus on EV, and I want to make this research. I want to start with an open-end question. can Chinese EV investment contribute to Thailand's green transformation? And I like this research to be a starting point for many more meaningful discussions in the future. So over the next few minutes, I will walk you through a little bit about this research background and also my methodology. And then we'll go together into the bigger context behind the investment. And then we'll together examine, then we'll together see the ripple effects already observed in the Thai market. Yeah. Okay. So first, I give you two numbers. To the left, you see, you can guess what they mean. So for people who don't always follow the climate change calculations, so the first number, 272, is actually the total emissions by Thailand in 2020. This is, of course, a quite small number compared to China's size, but it's still a lot. And 1/3 of it comes from the transport sector, i.e. the cars, motorcycles, and trucks we rely on each day to get around. So that's why transport sector has been so important in the overall decarbonization. So according to the climate finance tracker just released by my host organization, CFNT, Thailand actually plans to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. So that means there will be a sizable emission reduction to be able to achieve that. And that means there will be really strict emission reductions in all of the energy intensive sectors in Thailand. And transport sector is a very important pillar of this overall reduction plan. So that's why EV or electric vehicles come into play, because they are perceived as a low carbon technology that seemingly emits less greenhouse gases. Okay, so here comes to the central concept of my research, which is green transformation. It is actually a very contentious concept, because if we see EV as a low carbon technology, does it automatically guarantee a green transformation? Not necessarily. Our research, we define green transformation as a dynamic process shaped by a wide range of different actors, including the elite alliances, the grassroots innovators, businesses, and the wider mobilization of civil society. And the methodology I used is primarily policy analysis, supplemented by key informant interviews, as well as field visits in the Eastern Economic Corridor, which is the main host regions of the EV investment. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at the current players of Chinese companies in Thailand. So I mapped out 7 Chinese companies currently with production bases in Thailand. This is only limited to passenger car sector. Okay, so as you can see, the biggest company here is BYD with their manufacturing plant in Rayong province, and Great Wall Motor. They also have their plant in Rayong. So both of the companies, they have released very popular models like the Aura Go Cat. So very well received by Thai consumers. So a very important factor to consider here when you look at the EV investment is the larger geopolitical framework known as the Belt and Road Initiative, advocated by Chinese government since the past 2 decades. So you might have heard of it, this initiative. People also call them as BRI. So it has received a lot of criticism in the past 2 decades due to its just very poor environmental and human rights records. So the Chinese government is aware of this, and it tries to respond to this criticism by just adapting and transitioning to what is known as the 2.0 stage of BRI, a similarly lighter and a greener version. And in this version, EVs is an important pillar. So here we go. So right now, EVs together with solar PV and lithium-ion batteries, they make up the three leading export products for China. So together, they not only just make up the rising green industries inside China, they also increasingly shaping this export economy to other countries, either in terms of the export value and export quantity. So when you look at the right, the chart is, I pulled out the chart from a research report by Australia's Griffith University. And their researchers there calculated China's EV exports to different regions and countries. So this is a global picture. This is a quite a big picture view. But when you zoom in to the Southeast Asia, which is the green column at the bottom, so you can see where my red line points to. Okay, so here you will see an explosive growth of exports to Southeast Asia between the year 2022 and 2023. This is also the year when a lot of Chinese EV companies started to enter the Southeast Asian market. And this trend is reflected by the scenarios in the Thai market. So this research report is from a very recent, the graph is from a very recent research report by a researcher from Thammasat University. So they look at the numbers of registered EVs in Thailand. So as these numbers can show, you will notice that before 2022, there are a lot of the EVs in Thailand are actually the hybrid cars. Hybrid cars mean the kind of cars that use both fossil fuels and electricity. So which means it's not so climate friendly compared to pure battery EVs. So when did the pure battery EV start to explode in Thailand? It's basically after a lot of Chinese companies start to enter Thai market, and also when the Thai government started to roll out generous incentive packages to attract those foreign investors. So you can see that's why you can observe the green columns started to grow larger and larger after the year 2022. So we just covered the global pivot of Chinese companies and then what drove them to Thailand. This is, of course, relevant to the generous incentives offered by Thai government, but there's also a strong political backing from the very start because EVs were envisioned when General Prayut was still in power, and there was even a national EV policy committee created to support those investments. So as Thailand wanted to pivot to become the manufacturing hub for EV, the government tries to call it as the next generation automotive. So there has been strong motivations behind the push for the investment. A lot of the projects and factories are now located in the country's eastern provinces, concentrated in 3 provinces of Chachoengsao, Chonburi, and Rayong. So the Eastern Economic Corridor, historically a region hosting foreign investment regions, have a lot of their internal problems, either legally, administratively, and in terms of the interaction with local communities. Because of time limit, I won't be able to go into details on this, but you can refer to my policy brief. And also there will be a panel discussions after my presentation to discuss this. So this is all the rosy picture we have just covered about what is the situation on the ground. So based on my interviews with communities and monitoring groups that and also my own research. So the situation on the ground I've seen is actually quite chaotic. Because for one thing, automotive sectors is just a very important sector in Thailand's overall economy, and a lot of people relies on it for livelihood. So that doesn't just mean car making. It also means the dealership, the services, and the supply chains. So what will happen during this industrial shift? because EVs in theory requires different equipment and higher level of automation compared to the traditional cars. So what will happen when there is a strong push for this industrial transition? Okay, oh, there should be another slide, but anyway, well, okay, sorry. Okay, there was a missing slide here, but I'll try to put all the news reports I collected when conducting the research, which is basically about the factory closures and like, for example, the suppliers of Japanese car companies, Toyota, Nissan, and also workers protesting after they were dismissed by companies unfairly. And also like a lot of those news have been coming out for the past few months. So, sorry. Yeah, so basically, yeah, okay. I was just reminded I speak too fast, sorry. Yeah, I was just trying to say there were a lot of news reports during the past months documenting the human stakes of the industrial transition. And I've also, like from my own research, I've also found out there are many tier 2, tier 3 suppliers in Thailand currently are struggling to compete against Chinese suppliers' razor thin price margins. So they are on survival pressure basically, because the pattern of Chinese EV companies when they try to go abroad is that they often bring with them an established ecosystem. And also they are also super cost sensitive, so they tend to work with their trusted partners first. Yeah, so here is this survival pressure felt by local suppliers. And on another side, the companies are also finding it hard to employ a lot of Thai people because of the skill gaps. The companies, they are also complaining about labor challenges. That's why BYD, Great Wall Motor, and GAC Ion, and actually all of the Chinese EV companies, they have started to invest in local talent cultivation by partnering with local technical schools like Rayong Teknibuli. So those details are listed in my policy brief, so please refer to that. Okay, so I would like to say my research, because it was quite short term, I wouldn't be able to capture all of the important moments of this industrial transition unfolding at the moment. So if we go back to the very first question I started, which is, can Chinese EV investments contribute to Thailand's green transformation? I would say this is still an open-ended and evolving process that needs clearer definitions and communication and coordination. And also we still have to factor in a lot of different things, including the life cycle emissions management and the governance loopholes in EEC, and also the extractive nature of raw materials of EV production, and then the battery management. So I just want to say, when we consider green transformation, it is actually pretty, it is like a prism. It's when you look at it from different angles, you see different things. So yeah, so this is my research presentation. I would like to conclude it with by jumping to the policy recommendations. So first, in terms of how to ensure real local gains for Thailand, I would say there has to be clear definitions for what is local content procurement to ensure that the companies are complying with local regulations, because all of the EV companies, they don't want to be rule breakers. They want to comply with the local rules. So if you set clear definitions of what each of the item means for them, that will be able to help with like a better compliance from their side. Another thing is there has to be more inclusive governance with community participation in terms of the investment decision. So for the company side, they are not good at communicating with community, which is quite characteristic of Chinese companies. So this is another problem that we identified. And in terms of how to make the overall investment more climate friendly, one thing that needs to consider is how to encourage more clean energy and green power, like to be able to prompt the companies and EV plants and the charging station to access the actual green power, not just the, so which means there has to be designated channels to do that. Another thing would be to adopt formal regulations for the battery management, because a lot of the EV batteries, they are soon going to hit their retirement age. So how to deal with those retired batteries will be a very urgent waste management issue for Thailand, and especially EEC, because a lot of the waste management are located in the EEC region. So that's it. That is overall my research findings. Thank you so much. You please feel free to reach out. Here's my telephone number. You can reach out to me via a line or signal. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, for your presentation. I believe these few months bring you a lot of very interesting experience of doing this research, although this research is somehow not so easy to approach to. I mean, we actually support her to write letters to all these EV companies for interviews, and none of them replied. But anyway, went there like twice to the EEC and did some of their experience, like some research with the communities and also with people who are working there. So for this panels, I would like to introduce our three panelists. Kun Salini Achawanutaku, she was the founder of the Climate Finance Network Thailand, which is just established late in 2023, and also the co-founder of the Salt Forest. She has led more than 35 sustainable research projects since 2018, and one of the recent one is the Climate Finance Trackers of Thailand. And she also performed human rights risk assessment for major Thai companies and deliver workshops to over 1,000 stakeholders. She have a background on commercial and investment bankings, which laid her very insightful foundations for her current impactful works. And we have the next is the Jingmei Liu. She's the board members of and former director general of Friend of Nature, one of the China's leading environmental organizations. She has over 20 years experience in environmental litigation, legislations, and policy advocacy across China, Southeast Asia. And she led the China's first climate lawsuit. 10 years ago, she worked as the Mekong legal coordinator for Earthright International in Thailand and focusing on Chinese overseas investments in the Southeast Asia and South America, and has worked with Climate Earth in China and other impactful organizations. And we have also Kun Songnak. He's the researcher director of EEC Watch, where he promotes sustainable development in Thailand's East Economic Corridors with a background of production engineering, finance, and architecture heritage. He worked as a technical auditors, university lecturers, and environmental experts. He co-founded the network of EEC Watch, driving the civil society effort to safeguard communities from industrial impacts. His strength lays in uniting diverse stakeholders for environmental and human rights causes, and he has been served in multiple advisory roles in the Thailand Parliament, focusing on land, resource, and waste, as well as disaster issues. and he also a consultant in the coast fishing communities and also national human rights. He's a national human rights expert. Yeah. So for today's presentation, I believe you all experience like Chinese overseas investments in the Southeast in Thailand, especially in the EEC. And as Yuan Ye mentioned, like now China, the new exports, it's solar panels, batteries, and EVs. At the same time, Thailand see as the Oriental Detroit, and also want to make EV as the key automobile for the decarbonization of transportation, but as well as like manufacturing all these EVs for for export as well. I mean, when we're looking in the surface, all these technologies and investments are very good for the Southeast Asia's carbon emission reduction. But when we look into the detail, it's very complex. So I would like to asking for your three insights, like for Kun Salini, considering Thailand's energy mix and the full EV life circles, how significant is the role of EV in truly decarbonizing Thailand? And are we truly reducing our carbon footprint or just shifting it? Yeah.
Sorry. Okay ค่ะ thank you คุณยูหยิน and thank you first thank you CSDS นะคะ and อาจารย์คาว for having us be a host organization for คุณเย่ and it's been an honor to work with คุณเย่ as a research fellow so I'm not sure how big of a help we are given the complexities of the research that she undertook but I think it's a really great start to look at EV, especially China investment in EV, both because of the prominent role of EV in China's policy, and as you heard from Kunye's presentation, but also for Thailand. So as to your question, CFNT just launched our climate finance tracker. It's a publicly available resource on if you want to Google, you can Google climate finance tracker, or you can go to Climate Finance Network Thailand website. And then there are two trackers, one for mitigation activities and the other one for adaptation. And so we collected the data quite painstakingly from thousands of different projects, as much as we can find from public disclosures. And so what we find is that currently, so in the past 8 years or so, EV investments, both from China and other countries, account for about 10%. So about 147 billion baht of the total roughly 1.5 trillion baht in climate mitigation activities. So that is quite significant. This is coming behind solar PV, which is like the most popular mitigation activities that we found. And as you all know, Thailand has been trying to attract actually even more EV investments. BOI, the Board of Investment, has in recent years, the Board of Investments has separated the numbers, so to actually try to highlight EV investments, quite particularly in the EEC region. So that's how important we see it as a decarbonization strategy, and also as a way to hopefully revamp or re-engineer or transition Thailand's automotive industry, which has been a big part of our export oriented to be more EV focused. But of course, there are many challenges, because as you all know, a lot of the concern with regards to EV from China is that first, then how much of Thailand is really can become part of China's EV supply chains. So you may have heard stories about China EV factories coming, and although, as Kun Ye mentioned, a lot of companies try to hire Thai workers as part of the local requirements, but a lot of their supply chain is still largely not accessible by Thai, I would say, suppliers. So that's one challenge. Another challenge being that, as Kun Ye mentioned actually in her brief already, the potential risk from waste disposal, especially battery, and also the upstream resource extraction And given in actually recent months, we've all seen news about huge mines, rare earth mines in the Myanmar, for example. And so there's been some concerns about that connection with the EV, Chinese EV and also other countries' EV in Thailand. Right? So I think there's quite a few issues floating around. But as for your question on decarbonization, as I mentioned, is and as Kun Ye showed, I should actually also add that, sorry, the slide that Kun Ye showed that for Thailand's ambition for net zero 2050, that's actually still a draft, right? So Thailand's formal undertaking is still net zero in 2065. But what she showed was actually the latest draft NDC, what we call NDC 3.0. So it's the updated version of Thailand's NDC that we hopefully will commit in COP30 in Brazil in November. So that is the ambition to move the net zero forward 15 years to 2050. And so that means we need to accelerate the decarbonization processes, and as well as also shifting the measurement of carbon reduction from relative terms to absolute reduction. So I think that this will be a very interesting point in time, how, at a time where we are trying to improve our commitment or strengthen our commitment to the global stage, while how EV fits into that picture and how we can address all the social and environmental concerns. I just want to add one more thing before we, for this round, is that at CF&T, we are also very much interested in corporate accountability. So we see that there's a lot more demand, of course, for climate finance and climate mitigation, but at the same time, those financing needs to be just and needs to be inclusive. So we also have a few ongoing projects that try to look more specifically at potential greenwashing and the potential gaps of the so-called green standards. Like Thailand, for example, just recently launched the Thailand Taxonomy version 2. And in that taxonomy, there's actually some mention of minimum social safeguards and the do no significant harm principles. But we also try to point out that those safeguards seem to be lacking and may still open doors to greenwashing. So I think more accountable green finance in general would be a topic that we want to focus more on. And I think that EV being a very important kind of investment, especially from very big country like China, should be a very good focal point to focus the issue, because that's kind of the interplay between like China's overall national policy and the green guidelines, and the Chinese companies' own attempt, I guess, to improve their green or ESG credentials, as well as Thailand's stance. So that's kind of my overall impression. So I congratulate Kun Ye on her work, and I hope that this is just a beginning. There are many, many more issues to uncover because it's very complicated. One last thing, since we talk about EV role in decarbonization. So at the end of the day, I think that it's a great and is necessary part of decarbonization, but in itself, EV is not enough, right? So it cannot never be enough as long as electricity in Thailand is still currently 70% produced by fossil gas. And so we need to really ramp up our efforts in getting the fossil fuels to properly the transition energy sector. Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Yes, thank you very much, Salini. You have a very, very good insightful feedbacks on these topics, and we can say that EV is important. But it's not just a technical tool, but it's need a lot of governance, environment, and social. So we have one of our Chinese environmentalists here, Kun Jingmei. Like I mean, China have already become the global EV leaders, and China actually already have much more EVs in usage than the normal ICE, the fossil cars. So what are the key lessons, both positive and negative, that Thailand should learn from China's experience? And what are the hidden environmental social costs of the rapid EV development that we need to look out for?
Thank you for your question. The Chinese government have announced its carbon peak and carbon neutral target in 2020. And after that, Chinese government started to develop its called 1+N policy systems to support its goals. And in 2022, they have issued a very important and concrete policy called the Implementation Plan for Scenery Changing Pollution Reduction and Carbon Reduction, which have set up jointly issued by the 7 ministries, and it have set up very specific targets for several emission reduction areas, which including the transportation. So according to this policy, that by 2013, the sales of the new energy vehicles in key air pollution control regions should account for about 15% of total new vehicle sales. And these policy goals actually have give a very positive message to the whole EV industries, and which also caused that so far, end of the 2023, the Chinese families have holding more than 20 million EVs for their use. So for some of the lessons, for the positive lesson, the first one is the government policy goals indeed have gave a very key and important promote to the industry. And such as in China, because of the traffic control problems, if you are using a fossil fuel car, you need to get a blue the registration plate number, which is very difficult. You could wait for years for a family to get that number. But if you are trying to buy a EV cars, which is supplied to a green registration number plate, which is so much more easier, maybe took 6 months, a minimum a year to get that cars. That's also a policy to support and trying to guide more families to buy the EV rather than the fossil fuel cars. So the policy support does really help. And but what is more important is like Yuan Ye was introducing, her research so far is focusing on the household using the cars, but not started to looking at the heavy-duty vehicles. But for China, if we're looking at air control and also the carbon reduction, that the heavy-duty vehicles, especially in the logistic transportation sector, is contribute much more air pollution and the carbon emission. And that's also the key part that policy should looking at and trying to request them to, for these big companies and industries to change your old the fossil fuel heavy-duty vehicles into the electronic vehicles. And second is that the official cars and the government cars are the first round actually to change their traditional cars into the e-vehicles, such as the public buses and other things. Of course, we could see that in the Chula's campus, we also have the clean buses within our campus, but I'm pretty sure it's not applied to the whole society yet. So the government's behavior give a message and positive signals to the whole society that it's okay and it's a good thing that to change your old cars and into the new EVs. And third one is a very key one is that the electricity price is very competitive. So I think because of lots of complex reasons, especially the wars, the price of the fossil fuels keep growing. I mean, as same as the gold, but compare with the electricity price. So the owners who is operating its business or using as a family use, who is using the electricity cars only pay for the electricity price, which is so much more lower than the fossil fuel price, which is also kind of a motivation to those. We all could see there are more and more workers are joining as the like a Grab drivers and taxi drivers and in all different sectors. So this practice, the price of the electricity give them to save lots of the costs when they operating their business, and which is much more competitive if you are
running it as a fossil fuel cars. All of these are negative, but there's also lots of negative impacts. The first thing first is the disordered competition. In China, like Yuanye has listed 7 brands, but not only the companies in the used to producing cars are producing EVs, but those companies are producing phones are producing EVs too. So there's hundreds of the company are joining this whole competition, and lots of them are shutting down every day too. So the whole disordered competition caused the problem that these companies only cares about controlling the cost and expand the market, rather than their ESG behaviors, performance, and also their sustainable development goals. So that's a very bad things that government need to control. 3 weeks ago, the Chinese government issued a new notification that ordered the whole industry, EV industries in China, trying to compete in a more healthy and sustainable way and focus on their high quality development, which is the policy have introduced by the year's research too. And second is most of the EVs, if you have ever tried one, it together come with this intelligent or AI technology supported driving models, which is the new technology innovation, give a lot of convenience for people like me who is not have a perfect driving skills, but it's also because the technology developed too fast, but the policy, especially the security and safety standard didn't really follow up, have caused lots of the security concerns and safety concerns. That's why the Chinese government have a few months ago, after a very bad accident happened in China, have kind of suspended the artificial driving technology related to all these EV industries and other cars. So policies and safety and security standards need to follow to make sure that the technology innovation and competition didn't goes to a very disordered and bad ways, but contribute to the healthy and sustainable of the industry. Thank you.
Yeah, and Jimmy mentioned a lot of Chinese experience on how like why China EV was developed so fast, including like a lot of government policies. And also, I think one other thing about the EVs positive, it's about the air quality. If you're really going to China now, in many cities, you're finding like less noise and also clean air. And that actually contribute from EVs as well. But of course, we do have a lot of, negative things like the competitions and safeties issues that we should tackle. I mean, coming back to Thailand, we call it sometimes Ajahn Kiao or Dr. Sungnak. You are from the EEC, right? And when we talk about EEC, you have so many experiences. So what does your experience on ideal green transformation look like? And what specific policies and enforcement are crucial to ensure this investment can bring like sustainable benefits and avoid the greenwashing? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you everyone who set up this seminar this morning. Okay, my name is Kiao, as she said, or Dr. Green or Dr. Somnuk. Okay, actually, when we're talking about EV investment in the EEC and what we want, I mean, my people in the EEC zone want for green transformation is the first thing is green economy. The green economy does not mean that you build EV and you are green. We're talking about where is your energy to build the EV. If you look carefully into the EC zone, we have the main contribution of fossil energy is natural gas. This is similar to Thailand as a big picture. Natural gas is the main contribution of energy, more than 50%. If I'm not sure, I can consult Ajahn Solini, but I'm sure it's more than 50%. So your EV car use energy from natural gas. Okay, your EV car construction in the factory use energy from natural gas. I did not mention other fossil energy, also have other fossil energy in the EEC zone. This one we concern that if we want to be the real clean economy, we have to think about the carbon footprint. Next is the actually it's concerned about economy and social. We call the skill gap. That we talk a lot about local employment and everyone. I mean, the owner of the car maker or the owner of the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 after the EV car maker talk a lot about skill gap. They said Thai people don't have much skill gap on EV. They are still have the old knowledge about the gasoline car and so on. Okay, so how to reskill, upskill them. But when we connect to the institution or education center, that is just a part. But we can do it directly with the Thai maker. We also have tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and so on. That used to be the what we call old technology. And we need to get the new technology, but it didn't happen because it linked to another thing that I call green technology. We did not see any technology transfer, particularly from Chinese EV maker to Thai, let's say spare part maker and their supply chain. Okay, we see just product transfer, or Chinese people see us as just the maker or OEM. And right now, in a few years, after we have, I think, more than 7 brands already for EV maker and more than 20 brands for Chinese brand for spare part as well. So totally 20 something brand. It means the spare part maker is not from Thai already. It's import from mainland China, more and more from mainland China. Not only in the EEC area, let's say in Pachinburi is the next target that they want to be the EEC. Not there. The government want there to be the EEC, the province number 4. Okay. And the last one about the green transformation that very important is green environment. Okay. Yet I'm talking a lot about decarbonization, the carbon footprint, and we have to think more about the waste. EV car maker doesn't mean they not have industrial waste. Spare part about EV also. They have both hazardous industrial waste and non-hazardous industrial waste. In the EEC area, as of now, we have waste generator for the waste 11.4 times. I mean, the number bigger than the waste processor. Waste processor, it means people who have to remove the waste or how to sort the waste, recycle, or permanent dumping, and so on. Yeah. So right now we have a lot of waste leaking from EC zone to other area. Let's say Pachinburi, Samut Sakhar, Ratchaburi, and so on. Yeah, this is the big problem. I'm just talk about EV. I just talk about other industry that Chinese investment involving with, let's say, for industrial waste processing plant as its own name. Okay. And for question number 2, what is or what are the policy that we want? Yes, for the EC Act, we need to revise the act. I mean, amend the law. The first amendment is about the committee. If you look into the committee of the EEC, they just have the minister or prime minister. Did not have any local people or civil society organization inside the committee. The steering committee also did not have as well. Next is the EC policy right now is too much to bring many industrial maker to the area. If I read your year, right, brief about the color code of the city plan, you will see that right now no more purple land, no, and right now they are going into yellow land, and they are also asking for the green land, and the nation that would like the green land area of the EEC is the Chinese investors, yeah, because they think that this area is still can make economic value to them, yeah, instead of agricultural field. Okay. Other thing is about the Factory Act and IEAT Act. This is the act to control all factory, not only EV or EV spare part, every factory in the EC area to be reward or to be punished according to what they do. And if possible, I would like to copy everything from mainland China that you are doing very well in your country to Thailand. Yeah, I will just change mainland China to EEC name. That's it. So everything can be solved. You know why we still got the problem in the EEC? Because many of your what do you call illegal people, I mean illegal investor from mainland China, they came to Thailand. They came to the EEC and the backyard of the EEC and set up their business. That is why the EEC could not help Eastern Seaboard. Eastern Seaboard is the old name for the East Development. Eastern Seaboard came from ESB, right? Right now we have ESB development and we have EC development together. So people, local community in the EC zone, we got troublesome both. One is from the old development and one is from the new development. So how to bring both development together to be the one development with the reward and punishment, with the new law enforcement, newly what we call new policy to do real green, not greenwashing. That is all about. I would like to tell. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these are very true insights from the peoples in the locals. So I actually have one more questions, but due to the time, I want maybe perhaps you can use one sentence to answer it. Like from your perspectives, what must Thai decision makers or business leaders to do to ensure the EV revolutions truly benefit the environment and the fairness to the Thai people? Maybe just a short answer.
So what, sorry? Oh, asking me.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, can you repeat the?
So what must the Thai decision makers and business leaders to do to ensure the EV revolution is truly benefit to the environment and fairness to the people?
So I think from the perspective of CF&T, so I think there are two things that must be done. So first, as Ajahn Somnik mentioned already, EEC is a special development area. And actually the process of drafting laws and regulations, they basically either suspend or circumvent many existing environmental laws. So I think that those laws need to be re-implemented or need to be strengthened to govern fully the range of social and environmental impacts, especially the battery waste disposal, as Kun Ye already mentioned. So that's in terms of regulation. So it needs to be much strengthened. The only one I would say in terms of financing, I think that it's interesting to me because before Kun Ye did this research, anything the Chinese government or companies do, we say is almost like a black hole to us. Like we cannot tell like what's going on and, cannot, because a lot of information we cannot access. But now then it's clear that the Chinese companies are trying to be model citizens in a way, right? And I think Kun Jimne already mentioned the new directive that try to get them to be more responsible. So I think it's a matter of really kind of focusing on that word and clarifying what it means in the context of local Thai people. So what would it mean for EV companies from China to be socially and environmentally responsible in Thailand, right? And so the regulation alone is not enough. It needs to be a range of from CF&T perspective, the range of green finance and ESG standards could help, but not those standards alone, because there are gaps, the standards, and some standards are basically disclosure based. So here we see a real opportunity for civil society organizations that are, very familiar with the ground. Like they know the people, they know the local population, they know the people who are affected, to really connect with these standards and the companies themselves to make them accountable. So I think that there we see a lot of potential actually for connecting the dots through these commitments, these standards to the actual local organizations and the people who are very familiar with the existing impacts.
When the policy decision maker are drafting and issue the regulations and policies, to be make sure they have considered the whole life cycle carbon footprint of the EV industries, which at least including 4 parts. The first is the energy consumption of producing the cars, to make sure the industry have used at least a certain percentage of the renewable energy rather than fossil fuels. Second is the environment and social impacts of the mining, especially the critical minerals. The process of eco-vet and smell it have followed the standards and the best practice. And third is the recycled industry of the battery. The government should issue the policy to support the recycle industry of the batteries to develop when the EV industry is developing, to control the potential pollution and carbon leak of the battery. And last but not least is the EVs should bring more jobs and the green technology transition to the local community to promote the just transition. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, similar to both. First thing, yes, technology transfer. We can do as Chinese investor got last time that you call, I forgot the Mandarin, but okay, you translate in English, overtake on the curve, right? Overtake on the curve, yeah, that's what. You can do overtake on the curve in Thailand too with the EC people, yeah. But how is you can decide together with the local community, local employment, okay. Second one is about the LCA, life cycle assessment. The problem about the battery, everyone talking about lithium and no one know about lithium still have problem. Even the current research in mainland China, we saw a lot of problem to ecological, even if the permanent, what we call hazardous material in your soil, in your water, and so on. So we have to relook to lithium battery. Right now we have 4 main group of lithium battery that we are using, 11 subgroups, but 11 subgroup or 4 main group all have the hazardous thing. So we have to use it carefully. And we know very well that lithium battery have the lifetime about 7 to 10 years. How to double the lifetime? If we double it means we can save our world until we have to recycle or permanent dumping it. That's all about from Easy Watch. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for everyone's presentation. I think we got a lot of insightful informations. I would like to, due to the time, I don't think we can let the audience to ask, but I think we're going to have our lunch, and during the lunchtime, you can, feel free to ask questions. I want to give 1 minute to Ye to have your feedbacks. Do you want to have a feedback on your sessions about just a short summaries about what you have heard, what is your experience about this fellowship program? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I like maybe just to share a little bit, because I think I didn't really start out to want to focus on EV, It's actually the reason I started to focus on EV is really stems from my lived experience of because of air pollution in Bangkok, just too much for me. But then as I go deeper into this to study the issue, I really benefited from the discussions with Kun Somna, Kun Sanni, and also Yu Ying, so a lot of people who helped inform my research, because that's when I started to see the really diverse and really complicated and sometimes often negative impacts caused by historical Chinese investments and also the current stage. So the more I start to learn about it, the less definite I can see what I'm actually studying or what would be the answer of the very first research question I studied out. So and also, I would like to thank Dr. Carr, because Dr. Carr has been really there and supportive of the whole process to guide me and also to make sure that I didn't get into the rabbit hole of a lot of information. So I really thanks for the intellectual support by Ajahn Carr. Thank you so much. And yeah, I really hope this is just the start of many more discussions in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. And as this morning session, we will finish here and let's enjoy lunch outside. And if you have any questions regarding like the EV or Chinese investment, here are the people you can discuss with. Thank you very much and see you in the afternoon. We will start 1:30. 1:15. Okay. Oh, 1 o'clock. Oh, okay. We will start 1 o'clock. So aim for 1 o'clock so we can have a quick lunch. The lunch is already outside, so feel free to get your food. Yeah.